You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting from the Bishop West Real Estate Mobile Tower in Northport, Florida. But I just happened to be sitting at a roadside, a Love's in South Carolina, and doing my show live from South Carolina with my really good friend. And I'm going to let him introduce himself again, Billy. From the Public Works Department in Northport. How you doing, Billy?
I'm doing great. Sounds like you're having a great time.
Oh, nice absolutely. Uneventful so far until I pulled into the truck stop. And I just kind of doused myself with some water. So hopefully everything will work out just fine. But other than that, if you see me looking down at my screen, if you're watching live on Facebook, if I look down at my screen, that's because that's where my screen is at. I don't have it right in front of me, so I'll try to look forward as much as I can, but I do want to pay attention to anybody who pops up with a question. But tell us a little bit about what you do, Billy, for those who haven't listened in, and then we'll go right into what's happening with Public Works today.
Okay. Well, for those who haven't listened in before when I've been on, I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator. So, anytime we've got Public Works events going on, when we have the rodeo come up, hopefully we'll be doing it again in 2022. We'll be advertising that, organizing that, running social media for the Public Works Department. When we have road closures, any changes in solid waste collection, informative posts. The last probably month or so, we've been kind of coming weekly with things that should and shouldn't go in your recycling bins and things like that. So kind of a broad ranging spectrum that I'm dabbling in over here.
Well, and that's we had a nice talk about recycling the last time we were on, and I noticed this time through in even my section where I'm at in Northport over in Lakeside Plantation, people when I have conversations with my neighbors, they're still not educated, believe it or not, and I think you would agree, they're still not educated on the recycling. What's the proper thing that goes in the recycling bin? I even include them in on the caps for the water bottles and things like that. Do you kind of want to highlight that again real quick?
Sure. So, kind of what we've been doing the last few weeks is whichever week is upcoming. So, for instance, this week is Blue Week, Blue Tote, Commingle, plastic, aluminum, glass, all that kind of stuff. So we put out on Friday kind of an informative, here are some things that should go in, here are some things that shouldn't. Some of the things are kind of surprising. Some of the plastic cups that you might have, some are actually a number 5, which is recyclable, and some are a number 6, which are not recyclable. So the one we did a few weeks ago, actually, we highlighted solo cups. And the average person, I mean, even as we were shooting the video, I'm learning things. You would think, hey, it's a plastic cup. Of course, that's recyclable. And apparently the style of plastic that it's made out of, a lot of them are made out of a styrofoam-based plastic, apparently. And styrofoam is not accepted in our program. It makes it a number 6, and we actually don't accept that. The hard plastic cups that you kind of see given away at events and sporting events and fairs and stuff like that, you would think, well, that's a hard plastic, that probably wouldn't be recyclable, and turns out it's a number 5, and yep, that's the recyclable one. So we've kind of, over the last probably month or so, we've just tried to kind of highlight individual things with each tote that you might not necessarily think about. You would just assume, hey, this is plastic, or right. this is glass. Of course, it's recyclable, and come to find out, some of them are, and some of them aren't.
Well, and what would you tell people on erring on the side of caution? Just because there's a logo on something doesn't necessarily mean that it can go in that bin, does it?
Correct. So a lot of things will have the little recycling symbol, and they have the number in it, and a lot of people would just assume, hey, it's got the recycling symbol on it, it's recyclable. And again, we take numbers 1 through 5, and number 7. And there are some things that are number 6 that you wouldn't think, hey, this wouldn't be recyclable. There are also items that are unnumbered, and a lot of times unnumbered plastics and things like that will end up going into the trash. So we kind of have adopted the slogan that our recycling facility uses, SSR, and that is when in doubt, throw it out.
Yep.
It's better safe than sorry. We would rather not take in contaminated recycling, because that's something that when we bring it to the facility, contaminated recycling is something that affects fees that we're paying. So we have a contamination fee that comes out of our the money we're paying. If we're actually paying for the recycling that month, it's piled on top of that, and if we bring enough clean recycling material that we would actually be paid for that contamination fee comes out of that. So in that event, we would rather play it safe, when in doubt, throw it out.
Okay. And it's the website gives a really good overview. Do you want to give the information out for the website so people can kind of follow along there too?
Sure. So if you go to the website, and at the top there's government, and you go down to under city services, go to public works, and then we've got a solid waste tab. The home page there has all the different tabs in a little widget there, so you can kind of give it a quick review there. Or on the sidebar, we've got the each bit of solid waste broken down. One thing we've broken out just in the last couple of months is the bulk pickup online form. So previously you had to either leave it out roadside, and what happens is if you're not scheduled and our drivers come across it, they will call back to customer service and say, hey, this address has a bulk pickup. We'll come back for it next week. And a lot of times what happens is someone will put that out the day after their collection day, and then it ends up sitting for 2 weeks because we don't know it's scheduled. And they're collecting maybe 100 or more bulk pickups a day. So it's busy, and it's not the kind of thing where we can just go, oh, hey, there's one out there. We can just kind of break off schedule and go and get it. So we add it to the schedule for the next week. And if they've put it out the day after their collection day, then it'll end up being a couple weeks. And it's not that we're neglecting it or, ignoring it and just leaving it there. It's just within the process that we have, that's how it ends up. So previously you would have to either do that route or call into customer service and say, this is what I've got. I need it collected. And, some people doing the phone call thing is just not comfortable for them. So we thought, hey, why not put out this form? People can fill it out online.
Right.
They have to give us first name, last name, contact information. That way we can kind of verify it's their home. And the material they're collecting, and then we put it in the system that way. We've had it up for, I think, 4 weeks now, roughly. And we had our 200th request actually earlier today on my lunch break. 200 and 201 came across today. So it's been fairly popular. We've also added the yard waste just this past week. We put up the yard waste bulk pickup form. And for people that are unsure, the yard waste, regulations are kind of the same as the bulk pickup. You get 2 free bulk pickups a year. And a yard waste bulk pickup would count as one of those 2. You get 2 free 5 cubic foot pickups or 1 10-foot bulk pickup. And then after that, obviously you would end up paying for additional pickups after that.
Okay.
So we've done a little bit to bolster the website to give people more methods of requesting bulk pickups and things like that. And then the other thing people can do obviously is reach out to us on social media and say, hey, we've got this. I'm at this address. Can we please schedule this to get picked up?
Well, and you've hit 200 people, but you haven't. We really don't have other than putting it out there in social media land, we really don't have a driving force behind it other than maybe this show and what you guys do with the information on social media and then the website itself. We just don't
Right.
have a lot of driving information out there other than that. Um, I think 200 for not having the city know about it yet is pretty daggone good.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, we had made the form, and when I finalized the form and I published it on the website, we had somebody else had just posted something on the Facebook account. So I was like, all right, well, I don't want to post it right after theirs, steal their thunder, detract attention from what they're doing, because we've all got our messages and stuff we want to get out to the city.
Right.
So we try to, if we can avoid it, we try to give each post a little bit of space to get more views and things like that. And in the time between I posted it and I had scheduled a social media post for it about an hour after that, we had actually had a couple people just stumble across it. They happened to be on the city's website, happened to be looking, I guess, at bulk pickup information, and just kind of stumbled across the forum. So I do believe there's a little bit of that. And we did see kind of a surge initially after we initially posted and told people, hey, this service is there. We did make a post about a week later to remind people that, we have to, in order to collect on your collection day, we have to know about it before collection day. And so the best way to make sure that happens is to tell us before closing, even if you're requesting online, to
Yep.
submit that form before closing, because at 5 o'clock, nobody else is in the office now. And so we won't receive that till the next day. And, we posted about that about a week later and did see another surge. So, every now and then when we post and tell people this is there, we see a little bit of a surge in it, but it's been pretty steady.
So, this kind of adds into what you guys try to do with the website, though, is you try to, and I don't want to say inundate, because I think I think people get turned off by that word sometimes, but you're really trying to give the customer, the residents, a good, quick overview of what they can do, whether
Right.
it's this page or other pages. But this information that's there, I mean, we're talking about public works, we're talking about other departments that are out there, but to keep this, and I'm glad that you did this, because you'll laugh, because I lost track of my schedule.
Mhm.
Of course, I had to look it up online, and it was right there, readily available because of the holiday. And my wife
Right.
said, "No, they're coming in anyway." I said, "No, I don't think so." I said, "I think we talked about it on the show. I think there's a day delay," and there was.
Absolutely.
So, for us guys that are out there, just a hint, sometimes we can be right. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I'm blessed that I had you on my show and I got the information. That's all.
Sure. And it's funny because at times it feels like maybe we're beating people over the head with it a little too much, or we're emphasizing a little too much. But we, leading into the Labor Day holiday, we posted, I want to say either Monday or Wednesday that week ahead of Labor Day. And then again, Friday, we had a video where solid waste manager Frank Lama mentioned, hey, next week we're not collecting on Labor Day. Everything's delayed a week, or
Right.
delayed a day, and said if it's Monday, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way through. If it's Friday, it's Saturday. We posted again Sunday afternoon to remind people going into the holiday week. We posted again Monday. Hey, reminder, offices are closed. We're not collecting today. We must have had to go probably 2 or 3 more times even that week because people had questions. Well, I had it out Tuesday. That's my collection day. Why didn't they take it? I had it out today. My collection day is Thursday. Why didn't they take it? We had one. It was really odd, and we never really got an answer for it. We had one oddity, I believe it was either Tuesday or Wednesday morning. We had residents calling us and telling us that they had just seen on like ABC or something that after Wednesday collection was back to normal. And we're looking and we're like, we haven't stated that anywhere. We haven't talked to anybody to give them the kind of information. It's on the website that it's delayed. It's on social media like all week that it's delayed. And we never did really find out where that came from. Because we looked at the county website, and even the county website was the same schedule. Everything's pushed back one day. So it was kind of odd, but again, to some people, it may have felt like, okay, we're not done, we get it, but some people just legitimately miss the message.
Right. And you know what? Going to the source. Go to the source for the
Right.
information. That's the biggest thing, and it worked for me, and it worked for me big time, because as soon as I went on the website, I was able to pull the information up right away. I was able to look at it, confirm what I needed to do, and it took me all of maybe 3 minutes to
Right.
get to where I needed to be, and I did it on my phone. So the website really works well. It really gives good, accurate detail.
Right.
If you hear something, even if you hear it on the news, it never hurts to confirm it with what you're doing every day with the
Sure.
people who actually do the service, which is you guys, right?
Right. And the trouble we had was that some people had heard it on the news.
Yep.
And then they went and told their neighbor, because we've got neighborhoods where everybody talks together and they all kind of follow each other's lead, and all it takes is one person putting the can out,
Yep.
on the wrong day, or putting the wrong can out, and then you've got the whole row of neighbors that are kind of following suit. But I mean, it's the tricky thing is, most of the holidays that we take off for, they kind of vary. Some are on Monday, sometimes they're Tuesday, sometimes they're Friday. Labor Day and Thanksgiving are the only ones that are that specific day of the week. But like July 4th, for instance, was on a Sunday. And so we told people, heading into the holiday, hey, there's no change in collection. No change at all. And some people heard from somebody else that we weren't collecting Monday because the holiday was on Sunday. And so we kind of battled that for the first couple of days. And then, of course, Elsa hit and kind of pushed everything back anyway. But we had a few people that were like, oh, so it was pushed back for the holiday and then another day because of the storm. And it's like, no, just one day. And then obviously flooding kind of changed the story there anyway. So,
Well, I want to talk a little bit about the Northport app.
Okay.
And go ahead and tell people about the app, because here's the thing. Because I do the show, and I said, yeah, I have Public Works on. He goes, man, I got a pothole, but I've been trying to get the information to somebody, and I'm like, I got the perfect thing for you, and they'll give you feedback on it, and they're really good at it. So I don't want to promote the app. Can you tell people about the app and why they should utilize that service?
Absolutely. So what we have is, it's called the North Report app, and it's a free app. It's free to use, free to download, free to sign up. It is in the Apple App Store. I'm not familiar with Apple. The App Store on Apple, and the Google Play Store. Yep. Again, it's free to download. You go in, just enter in, you sign up with your email. Free to sign up, and then what you can do is, let's say you're driving down the street and you notice somebody threw a bunch of tires off in the woods there. You can go into the app and choose illegal dumping and fill out your information, and here's what's happening. It comes to us. The city assigns it to Public Works. Our customer service will go through, create a work order, and as soon as we're able to, somebody will go through and verify what's there and collect it. And we'll follow up and tell you, hey, thanks for reporting this. We've collected it. The issue's now resolved. If you've got potholes, it's obviously not usually like a next day kind of fix, but we'll have somebody out as quick as we can. And, customer service, again, will go in and thank you for reporting this. We'll have somebody out within 7 days. Create a work order for it, and then they get out there and address the problem as quick as they can. So there are a lot of things you can report in there: potholes, missing street signs, damaged street signs, missing stop signs. Again, potholes, illegal dumping. You can, I believe, request a bulk pickup there, which we would prefer if you called customer service or used our form online, but it is possible to do that there, and we will, again, follow up, and it's typically fairly quick, depending on the issue and whether it's city related or we've had a couple that were contractor related that they kind of had their schedule and we're working with them. So,
Right.
but usually we will follow up and say, hey, this is the process. We've contacted the contractor and we're working on it.
Well, and I got to tell you, I have talked about that because I utilize that app. Anytime I see something happening at the roads, I've promoted it out there. And I think if we can just get people, if everybody like committed to telling 5 people, and then you convince those people to tell 5 people, that app, it changes everything, because within 24 hours, they actually were out and fixed the potholes. And within actually 48 hours, potholes fixed. The first 24 hours, they made it awesome for the drivers because they came out and highlighted the area with pink paint.
Right.
We highlighted where your tire was going to fall in that was developing there. And you talk about a lifesaver when you're trying to negotiate through and you don't think a hole's that bad. When it's marked with pink fluorescent paint, you really want to like steer clear of those because they're usually pretty deep. And think of it this way: the more you drive through a pothole, does it cause more damage to the pothole?
Right. Absolutely. It'll not only damage your wheels, but stretch the pothole out for sure.
And on top of that, if we don't get the potholes fixed on the streets and they get bigger, there's going to be more damage to your car. So it's worth. I know everybody thinks about potholes and somebody else will get it. Somebody else will call it in. Don't think that. Just get out of your car real quick. Pull over the curb, take a quick snapshot of it. That North Report does everything that you need it to do, and it's documented. It's into the system. And don't they get notifications back?
Yes. So basically, we go through and when we've received the report and we've created a work order, we reply, and you'll be notified that hey, this is something we're aware of. It'll be inspected. Here's the work order number if you want to call and follow up with it. And as things happen with it, we will update and say, hey, we've determined the one thing that we deal a lot with this time of year is the swales. So obviously it's rainy season and everybody's concerned that their swales are wet kind of all summer. It never really dries up. And my swale's no different. For the 10 years I've lived in Northport, I just understand that from May until early November, it's just wet. And I'm not going into the swale with the lawnmower. I'm going to weed whack that part of the yard because I can't touch it. It's a mud pit. But in some instances, it's a case of, there's blockages that are causing that. And so if you have an issue with your swale and you're positive, again, that these are designed to hold water for up to 72 hours between rain periods. But if you're fairly certain that it's been more than 72 hours, let's say it hasn't rained all week and yours is still holding water, you can make that complaint through the North Report app and we'll have somebody come out to inspect it. And some of them are really long-term issues. We have a long list of people that need their swales regraded, but you can at least know that this has been added to the list. And when we close it out and we say, hey, it's going to be a little while, but you're on our list, we give you the work order number. So let's say it's been 2 or 3 weeks and you're like, hey, man, I think I haven't been out yet. I wonder what's going on. You can call customer service give them the work order number, and they can kind of, relay to you kind of where things stand at that point.
So I want to talk about a couple things with that. I'm ask a few questions, yes or no, or explanation. Let's talk about the painting of lines and arrows on the streets. Who's responsible for that, and can the app be used for that?
I think it depends on the location, but it is something that our traffic operations department will handle. There are certain neighborhoods that are obviously HOA run. They're private neighborhoods. At which point, if you file a complaint with us and say, hey, there's a pothole on this road, or the crosswalk is faded and we can't see it. If it's a private neighborhood, if it's an HOA, we'll tell you when we close it out, hey, this is, the responsibility of your homeowners association. Contact leadership there. If it falls to the county, things like stuff on US 41 is Florida Department of Transportation. We will let you know, hey, that's who you need to contact. The one popular thing that we have is everybody wants traffic signals by the on-ramps on Toledo Blade and Sumter. Especially, if you've driven by there 8 o'clock in the morning,
Yep.
Northbound on Toledo Blade is backed up way past the light. And everybody thinks, we need traffic lights. And why isn't Northport doing anything about this? And it's the Florida Department of Transportation. And the best we can do is petition to them and say, hey, this is a necessary need. Can we please fix it? Traffic lights, maintaining those, that falls to us. Sidewalk maintenance, if it's not in front of a residence, if it's something along the public right of way and it's overgrown, it's a tripping hazard, or you've got trees that are hanging down, making it impassable. These are things that Public Works will take care of, provided it's not directly in front of somebody's house, at which point it's their responsibility, or if it's an HOA. There's one popular one I've seen more than a few times, and that's along Woodhaven, which is right on the backside of Bobcat Trail. And that's actually the responsibility of Bobcat Trail to keep up. And we've had more than a few people go, hey man, the bushes or whatever are growing over the sidewalk and it's impassable. Come fix it. And that's, again, one of those things where we'll tell you, it's not us, it's a private walkway. It's their responsibility. Contact them.
So let's talk a little bit about Parks and Rec. And let's say we see a trash can that's completely filled and dumped or tipped over. Let's go with a swing that's broken, and let's go with a gate that doesn't shut correctly.
Okay, so essentially, Parks and Rec, you contact Parks and Rec and say, hey, this is, we've had graffiti issues.
Yep.
People have defaced, one of the parks, one of the sidewalks or something like that. They'll come out and determine if it's something that they can take care of. They've got their own, kind of small time maintenance department there. And if it's something major, then they contact the facilities maintenance, which is over here at Public Works, and we'll assist with that. So
can they take a picture of it with the North report?
We have kind of an internal site for them communicating to us that, hey, we need help, we need this fixed. But the North Report app, that again is something you could submit to Parks and Rec that way, or call their customer service line and say, hey, this is happening.
And I guess my linking that together would be if you've got that app on your phone and you're at the park and you see something like that, that's a real quick way to get an identifier out.
Absolutely.
And don't our departments all talk to each other and communicate to make sure everything is running smooth?
We do, yes, absolutely. So if it's something that Parks and Rec, it doesn't really, let's say they've got, for instance, actually a few weeks ago, we had someone complain about potholes leading into the Nairmore Sports Complex over by the soccer fields by Glen Allen.
Okay.
And So they filed that complaint, and I believe originally went to Parks and Rec, and then they forwarded it to us. And so we put it in our system, put a work order in, and our guys went out and fixed the potholes in the driveway heading into the Parks and Rec facility. So it is something that it's a cooperative effort for sure.
Awesome. And I bring that in just because, when you have an app like that can be user friendly and universally used across the board as far as a problem. I'm not talking about every complaint out there, but when there's something that needs repaired and you utilize that, it's going to get the attention it deserves, correct?
Absolutely. And then the other thing is, occasionally we'll get something that gets passed on to Public Works, and we determine it. It's a private matter. One of the popular ones is some of the stop signs in the business complexes on 41. And if it's not us, we get a hold of code enforcement and say, hey, this is private property. It's not being maintained, and they need to take care of it. And code enforcement will go and take care of it. So it's even a matter, sometimes it's not in Public Works jurisdiction, and we've got to pass it along to another department who takes care of it. So, even private residences, a neighbor complains and says, hey, this sidewalk is impassable. And our guys go out and determine it's in front of a residence, and we pass it along to, the right people in code enforcement or, things like that. And they'll pass it along and get it taken care of.
Nice. So I'm actually in South Carolina. I'm just going to check a couple things real quick. Is it raining down there?
It is not currently, at least not over by Public Works, but it's one of the few days.
I was going to say, I'm so used to it raining about this time of day, and I was watching the video, and there's just a slight delay here and there, and I was wondering if we had a storm overhead.
Yeah, so right now, I don't see, at least from our direction, but it would be probably the first day in I don't know, maybe a week or two that it hasn't.
Absolutely. So what's coming up new? Other than what you did on the website, is there anything else new that's happening within Public Works that you need to get that information out?
I wouldn't say anything really pressing. One big new thing for the city is, I believe October 1st is the new city manager. So we've got some people that have been shifted around with an interim city manager, and Julie Belia has been over with the city in City Hall for quite a while there, and she'll be coming back to Public Works, and we'll have everything kind of fall back into place.
So I'm going to ask this because people do things unselfishly a lot of times at City Hall, because they kind of take positions over because of holes that are being out there and different adjustments that have to be made, such as when the parks shut down, those people went out and did other jobs and kept the city moving forward.
Right.
Are you guys at full staff yet?
I don't think so, actually.
And I ask that for a reason, because that not being at full staff, do you feel like everyone managed through this time frame so far?
Sure. Yeah. For the most part. I know last month solid waste had its challenges because it wasn't just a matter of not having positions filled, but we kind of had a rash of COVID cases amongst drivers and stuff. So we might have talked about it with Frank when he was here last time, and a bulk of it happened to fall when he was on vacation, and our supervisors and stuff stepped up and filled in on truck routes, things like that. And it's a constant challenge. People leave, people move on. You try to fill the positions, and you're dealing with that. And then COVID's going on, and we had to break out over the summer, kind of everything on the uptick. And I know at one point we had something like 100 city employees out at one point with COVID. So everybody kind of just fights to pick up the slack and keep things moving.
You know, it's really making sure, and I with guys like Frank and yourself at the helm, you've got team oriented staff.
Right.
When you say that.
Yes, absolutely.
And then when COVID hits and you're shorthanded, there's just it's kind of like a call out for all hands on deck, isn't it?
Absolutely, and that's why there were when Frank was on vacation, I had planned for a couple of videos with the other supervisors, and came in the one day and said, "Hey guys, how's the timeline look?" And they were like, "It's not going to happen. We got drivers out and people are sick, and we're all filling in on trucks." And the big thing was we wanted to make sure that people were still getting their garbage and their recycling collected, and because COVID or not, people don't want their trash being they don't want it piling up and getting backed up. And
so true.
It was a matter of just trying to keep that moving and keep things up to speed, and nobody wants to hear excuses for why their trash can didn't get collected this week. So.
Well, I think we need to make a big push for people to share the website. That's great information, great resource. I think we need to make a big push for people to share North Report, the app that's available at Apple and oh my gosh, I've owned at Apple for so long. What's the other one called?
The Google Play Store.
Google Play Store. I can't believe that I forgot about that, but I've been at it for so long. I'm trying to think back at how many years it's been that I've been Apple, but those two things, those are so valuable to at least share with your neighbor. That's, you talk about a way to get in with your neighbor and just to say hi, is give them a gift of information. Tell them to go to the website, check things out. There's all kinds of things that are changing there. There's dates of events there. There's all kinds of things that people can find out, and they can actually learn a lot about public works on the website, can't they?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. We've got all our departments up there. We've got information on them, information on leadership, who to contact, that kind of thing. I will say one other thing that we should plug, along with the North Report app and the city website, is our Recycle Coach app, which is it's an app that we participate with. It's not specifically our app, but again, it's free to download. It's free to sign up. You go in, you just put in your address, and you can sign up for notifications. So every week, if your pickup day is Tuesday, you can sign up to get notifications on Sunday or Monday. Give you a reminder, this week is Blue Week, this week is Brown Week. Here's your collection day. And again, with the Labor Day thing, if you weren't sure if your collection was delayed, the Recycle Coach app can tell you that. And the nice thing with these things as well is if you're not, because we have plenty of people who are not necessarily, I won't say smartphone savvy, but just don't necessarily care to do the smartphone thing. These things are available on the website as well. And if you click on the recycling tab on the Public Works website, one of the things you can do there is sign up for email notifications for your collection day with the Recycle Coach. And the same thing, you can access North Report on the website and things like that. So it's handy that these are not only mobile applications, but they're also on the website.
Hit some highlights on the recycle side of things. I don't want to talk about the negative side, but I want you to really tell people why they need to be cautious about contaminants into the recycle bin. I have a pizza box. Should I throw it in the recycle bin?
More often than not, we would advise trashing it, because a lot of times it's soaked with grease. It depends on the pizza you get, but most pizza is very greasy. Right. And unless they have a quality liner in the box, a lot of times that grease ends up soaking through the box. So, and there are times where the bottom is completely soaked and the top is fine. You can tear the top off, put it in your tan tote, and the bottom half just goes in the garbage.
So if you see grease on your on cardboard,
Mhm.
you can still give the cardboard, just tear the grease part away.
Correct.
All right. So there's a tip for people who are out there who are really conscientious about that. And the reason behind that is if we keep our contamination rate down, do taxpayers of Northport benefit from that?
Well, and it's kind of like we talked about last month with Frank is, solid waste, the garbage side of things is not the tipping fees and stuff like that. It's not something we control. And the more homes that go up in Northport, the more trash we're collecting, the more we're paying to dispose of trash. Recycling is one of the things that when we do it right, we can control kind of the cost of how that goes. And what we've seen for the last 4 or 5 months now is we're starting to turn into the positive because we're our contamination level is, I think it's been at like 2 or 3% for the last couple of months. And so the cost that comes out of our positive rate there is minimal. We can keep it low. And so when we're turning in the positive with the recycling, when they're paying us to bring it to them instead of us paying the other way around, that can kind of help us offset some of the costs that we can't control. So it's not going to be something like, hey, Public Works finished in the positive. We actually made, 20,000 last year on recycling for the year. Everybody's going to get a check. It's not going to work like that, but that 20% positive could help us offset some of the garbage disposal fee that we don't control.
Well, and I think there's value to be had for anyone who's listening. Once again, if you're listening, don't forget to share the information because truthfully, if we can get more people doing the right thing within the recycling side of things, it does aid in keeping taxes down because there's money to be had there, correct?
Correct. So that, the more we can offset kind of the tipping fee side of things for the garbage, the better.
And what is the one thing that you would say about tipping fees? And I'm gonna tee this up for you, okay?
Okay.
Do we have control of the tipping fee?
We do not. The county and the landfill set the rates at what it costs us per pound or per ton to dump at the landfill.
And so in doing that, if we did not have this recycling center and we were not pushing the right way on the recycling, ultimately would our taxes go up?
You would think so, for sure. Let's see, it was July, I believe we had something like 660 tons of recycling material. I think all but maybe 5 or 6 tons was clean, contaminant-free recycling, that we got paid for. And think if we didn't have that recycling program there, that's 600 tons we're going to go pay $40-something a ton for, on top of what we're already doing.
So I want to go there for a second because I really want to point something else out. Is how many tons?
For that month, it was like 600-something tons.
All right, so imagine 600 tons going to the landfill.
Right.
So there's two things that I want people to think about because I hear people talk about environmental stuff all the time. Well, those same people better be talking about recycling because if you're dumping 600 tons a month into the landfill and then you're worried about a tree or clean water, get a grip on yourself. I'm just calling you out. And I think you need to be called out if that's the way you're thinking. And now you should tell your neighbors, let's try to get to 12,000 pounds. Because if everybody in Northport was doing this, that's what would happen.
And that's kind of, we talked about it a little bit last week, and Frank mentions it all the time. That's why if you wanted 4 recycling totes, we'll bring out all the recycling totes you want. If that's going to help make that push. If you're going to turn all your household garbage into recycling, and you can fill up 4 totes of recycling, we're happy to take it, because our recycling processor is paying us to bring that at this point, because it's that clean, and the market for clean recycling is that good. That's why it costs extra for garbage totes, because that costs us money. Recycling, we will gladly give you more recycling totes, because that's something that's bringing us money, that's helping us offset the garbage cost.
And we have completely separated ourselves from anybody on this coast, correct?
We are, at this point, as far as we know, we're setting the standard as far as recycling goes.
Statewide?
I don't know about statewide, but I do know, and for the people that use our recycling facility, we're kind of the standard bearer for recycling.
And you know, it's nice to be known, because first off, we're a bedroom community. I hate that word. Hate that word. Just so you know, I come from a big city, so I love our town though. I love our town. Sorry about that. I had it. And I had it on Do Not Disturb. It's not 4 o'clock yet, and it did obviously Do Not Disturb didn't work. Yeah, I push all the right buttons and I still get feedback. So obviously, you know, they're trying to get a hold of me somewhere. But I think that was a call about recycling. I'll have to take that later. That was a joke. So, you know, I really want to push these things out there, because people need to understand that if they're all working towards a common goal of getting that recycling bin full, if you need another one, get another one or get a bigger one. But if everybody is working towards that common goal, there's offsetting costs that we can project out in the future, that if everybody just keeps doing their part and encourages others to do their part, those offsetting costs that other cities are going to incur on their tax dollars. Charlotte County's probably got a bigger problem than we do, because they're not like us, are they?
Right. No, I believe they may still bring their recycling up there, but it's not. They're not doing it as cleanly and in the manner that we do it.
But I'll guarantee you they're going to catch up at some point.
I mean, you heard Frank last month. People are picking his brain constantly. Frank, how are you doing this? It's kind of unprecedented these days. There are some cities that have just deemed it not financially, I guess, cost efficient enough to keep up their recycling programs, and that is something that we've proven it's cost efficient. Not only is it cost efficient, it's cost beneficial for us.
In the day and age that we're at, if you live in a city right now that isn't coming to Northport on this coast and asking us what we're doing to offset landfill waste, I hear this all the time. Everybody wants to be really conservative about growth and everything else. I'm calling you out, Charlotte County. Charlotte County needs to step up. Citizens in Charlotte County, they need to step up. There is a program intact and running in your neighborhood. We're in your neighborhood.
Right.
I'm not knocking any city that's not doing it, but what I'm tired of is hearing how full our landfills are, and there's trash piling up, and we have barges of trash. I hear these wicked stories all the time. We got barges of trash floating. Well, where's it come from? It comes from people not doing the right thing, and cities, I think, being neglectful. because if you can prove that you can make money at it, then and we've done that. Step your game up. That's all.
Absolutely.
You know, it's kind of ironic that we don't like to look at success a lot of times because we want to do it ourselves. But, you know, we have a playbook.
Right.
We have a playbook for success with what you're doing. And that's no spin-off onto the playbook that Parks and Rec has. But that's a great playbook, too.
Absolutely.
But, you know, you have a game plan of years of attention and detail. You don't have a lock on that information. You share that information a lot of times, don't you?
Absolutely. You know, it's something where, like Frank said last week, solid waste managers, they get together every now and then and you know, bounce ideas off each other. And what can we do to make things better? And, you know, it's only a matter of time before people see what we're doing and see that there's the ability to make money back with recycling and kind of offset some of their costs. And that way, when the landfill says, hey, this year it's going to cost, you know, this much money per ton to dump here, and there's a rise from what you were paying, well, how can we offset that? Well, you know what? Like, we're making money per ton to bring our recycling there. And I think that's how you help offset that. There's obviously, with recycling being a smaller percentage of collection, there's certainly, you know, maybe a limit to how much you can offset it, but any little bit you can offset, I think, is a positive.
Yep. Well, it's 3:57 on a Monday, and you know, we've had technical fun today. We've had a good time. I really appreciate you coming on. I can't wait for next month. I really can't. What are some of the targets in the next 30 seconds? What are some of the targets that you think we should discuss next month? And what do you think people would want to hear about next month?
Well, ideally, in about the next week or so, week and a half, we should have the numbers for September, which would kind of finalize what our numbers are for the year. The trend has been set over the last couple of months, and hopefully that trend continues. And next month, we're talking about, hey, solid waste actually made positive money for the year through recycling. So we've got that coming up. You know, hopefully less rain coming up.
Yes.
We get some of the water under control, and you know, these kind of things are positives. So,
well, Billy, it's a pleasure. It always is. I always learn something new, and I hope people share this video because there's a lot of valuable information in here. And if you don't think it's valuable enough, think of it this way: the more you share this, and the more you get people to participate, the less money that might come out of your wallet come tax adjustment time later. And that's the truth. That's just it's a wicked way of looking at it, but we're one of the few cities that has the opportunity to participate in a recycle program and not have our tax rate go up because we're not participating in the recycle program.
Right. And again, there are cities that just stop recycling altogether because they didn't find it cost efficient, and we've kind of flipped that on its head.
Yep, there you go. Well, kudos to you guys. You do a great job, and you do a great job explaining it too. So I hope there are some really brave cities out there that step their game up and save our landfills from being overrun. Because guess what? They are being overrun. They've been overrun for years, and we hear about that all the time. And that tax dollar, that tax rate, or that charge to a city, that's not going to go down. That's going to continue to skyrocket.
Right.
So wait until that number really hits home, and the tax rate really goes higher, not because of service, but because of everything else. But we will talk at you soon. Have a good day. This is John Rawlings with WKDW Radio, 97.5 FM and KDWRadio.com. Thanks, and have